So yeah, this is Supersonic's first foray into 3D.
Yep, and it's okay. So what you gotta do here is you gotta rush towards Chaos, and if you've built up enough speed, you'll be able to fly up to his head and damage the brain, which nukes some of his health bar.
Now, what I like about it, I like the context of this boss fight, where it's like when the glow turns blue, it's implied that he's supposed to be like a bolt of lightning. And I
Really?
love that image in my head. You know what I mean? Just like, Chaos is doing his thing, all of a sudden a bolt of lightning just appears and he just explodes. And then you realize, oh shit, that was Sonic, that's so cool, he's so fast!
Yeah.
But the boss fight itself,
And-
it's, you know, it's tame. It's not that hard.
Yeah, it's not terrible or anything. Far from it, really. But it is just kind of eh. Like, all you do is really run forward. Like, it gets better in the second half of the boss, which is gonna start up right now. Because if there are a couple things going on. One, you have, much like the classic games, your Supersonic is based on rings. So if Sonic runs out of rings, he'll revert and then he'll just fall through the water and die. So you gotta keep grabbing rings. The other layer of it is you need those speed boosters to get Sonic up to full speed so that he can, you know, get up to the brain. But meanwhile, Chaos is attacking you, and whenever you get hit by one of his attacks, it makes you lose momentum.
Just for context, though, you don't necessarily need the speed boosters. As long as you keep jumping, you'll gain enough momentum to reach max speed.
Okay. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
And during this fight right here, like, I think right around right now, I miss out on getting enough speed to
Yep.
go up him. And it made me think that I needed to go through more than one of the speed boosters to get enough momentum. So, like, I just barely didn't make it there. And I think what happened was I hit, like, the top of one of those last ramps, and I lost speed because of it. And that's why I couldn't get up to him, because normally, you know, the aura was blue, so I should have been before that point, but then I hit that ramp and then it went away. So I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, you've got to dodge those attacks. So there is a way to screw up and fail this, at least. There's some challenge to it,
Yeah,
even though you're technically invincible.
It's not fucking Egg Viper, I can say that much.
Yeah.
Hate Egg Viper. Egg Viper is like the lowest point of the game for me, but nah.
Like, really, even worse than Big.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew you hated Egg Viper that much.
I hate the Egg Viper.
So, I do beat him on my first try here, but I keep getting hit when I'm trying to go off those speed boosters. By either one of those projectiles, like that just happened. It's like getting cock blocked by the boss here.
Like, stop it! Get away!
It's like you have to get in a good rhythm to avoid his projectiles.
Yeah.
And I was also under the impression you needed to go through more than one of the boosters at once to get enough momentum.
Oof. This game is not being kind to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I somehow narrowly missed that speed boost there.
Ooh. Oh.
Right, then I actually do manage to get him
There
when
you
my
go.
rings run out.
Okay. And I'm
So
pretty
yeah, that's it. That's perfect chaos.
And I'm pretty sure we all know that at one point Supersonic was to be playable, but it was cut out.
And if you have better SADX on PC, there is actually, I think, part of that mod allows you to play Supersonic in levels.
And it is fucking broken, and I love it.
I thought part of the problem is that he's so fast that you can hardly play the levels.
No. I mean, I was able to play through the levels, but like with Windy Valley, for example, you can literally do what you do with Tails. You can just like jump, avoid the dead zones, and you'll make it. And you never showed off the Chow Gardens, did you?
Oh, fuck. I knew I forgot something.
And we're at the
I
end of
even
the
bothered
line.
to show off Twinkle Circuit, and I forgot the Chow Garden.
Chaos is
It's not a big deal.
Fuck.
This time for the better.
Oh well.
Oh no, we have to redo the entire playthrough.
Yep, you better throw it out and start over again.
Oh, fuck.
So ultimately what wins the day here is the positive powers of the emeralds neutralize Chaos. And then Chaos discovers that the Chow are still alive and well to this day. And that sort of helps him to calm down and see that, wow, what was I doing?
Chaos, have a Snickers. Why? Because you're not you when you're hungry. Better? Better.
So I can't help notice the naming similarity of Perfect Chaos and Perfect Cell.
Okay, how do you figure? Like, what's the correlation?
Well, isn't like the plot of the Cell arc is that Cell is absorbing the other androids, and when he does that, he becomes Perfect Chaos, or Perfect Cell?
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And I know that the emeralds themselves are based on the Dragon Balls, and so is Supersonic is Super Saiyan. So maybe this was their nod to Perfect Cell?
It could be. I see the parallels anyway. Oh, there you go. Bye-bye.
Like how Tails is just dancing in place.
Oh, you didn't get that weird
doing here?
You didn't get that weird texture glitch.
Well, right?
Nope.
To be fair, I've never gotten into
Fish
it.
sticks, anyone? I don't even have an oven at my house, but I do have a Dutch oven.
Oh my god!
Hey, all that cat waste has gotta go somewhere.
Anyways, so
When I say Dutch oven, I mean my little box.
EXO. That was Sonic Adventure.
Yep, we're finally done. Well, technically, Ryan and I still have to record Gamma at this point in time, but in terms of uploads, this is it. That's the last episode. This is the finale, ladies and gentlemen. I know, maybe you should go first, Ryan, because this is your second favorite game of all time.
It is!
Now's the time to spill your guts and give it one last hurrah and tell us all about why you love this game so much.
I mean, I kind of felt like as if I already did. I mean, like, this playthrough is definitely an eye-opener for me, because I never actually, like, I myself have never played through this game with another person before. This is my first time watching someone else, like, and commentating with someone who had played the game while the game was actually being played. Even though it was a post, but whatever. You know, so I was able to learn a couple of new things. Like, there was, like, I mean, you showed me that this game has aged in ways other than the ways how I previously said, how it's just like some of, you know, the animations and the voice acting. You know, you brought up points about, like, the structure and the way, you know, how the cutscenes are paced. You know, you brought that point up, and I see it, but at the same time, it's like you also showed me some stuff, like with the overworld, and, you know, with the stuff you were saying about Perfect Chaos and the stuff that goes on in the hub worlds, that also make me just appreciate the game so much more. So it's like this playthrough was a bit of an eye-opener for me. You know, the thing with Eggman's room, I didn't even know about that, and you showed it off, and I thought that was really cool. But with that said, even though I accept that this game has aged in ways that I probably wouldn't have agreed with before, I still hold this game in a high regard because it's still so much fun to play. Like, it's incredibly replayable for me. I love the way how the levels are designed for the characters. I love the way how most of these characters control. You know, I may not be the biggest fan of Knuckles, but, you know, the way how he functions in 3D, I still think is really good. But at the same time, I think that Sega, Sonic Team, whoever made this game, you know, for their first 3D Sonic game, did a remarkable job of getting what worked in the 2D Sonic games and translating that into 3D. You know, and I don't mean to bash on another game, but that's not something I could say with Super Mario 64, where it feels like a completely different game. And even you said it, XO, where it's like...
Which is true.
Even you said it where it's like, you know, you play 3D Mario for different things and you would play for a 2D Mario game. Which, you know, that's fine. But I play Sonic for one thing, you know, or not for one thing, but like a consistent group of things, and that's, you know, the speed, the platforming and exploration. And this game does that very well. It translates the way how the characters handle very well, like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Like, they play how they would in a Genesis game. You know, and as a kid, this was my first game I ever played. I never thought about that kind of stuff. So, like, it's as more time goes on, and the more I realize about how much effort went into this game, into, like, making it feel like a true Sonic game, about how much effort they actually went into making the story feel, you know, like an actual adventure, you know, and how there's, like, actual inspiration, like how they actually traveled to parts of South America to be inspired. You know, and just also, like, learning about, like, how they wanted to, like, push the Dreamcast to its limitations to, you know, to have, like, the best water physics, even though it didn't at the time, but, like, they wanted to do something ambitious. And, you know, even as a guy who likes Sonic Forces, to an extent, I miss that about these older Sonic games. You know, they wanted to be the best of the best. And I really don't get that with some of the more recent Sonic games. I mean, like,
it has been feeling like ever since, you know, as much as I like the story in Colors for what it is, it does feel like since then, the story has just kind of taken a back burner. Like, the feedback that they got led them to kind of say, we really shouldn't focus on this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because people just want the same Eggman is evil and Sonic stops him plot over and over again.
Yeah.
Because they don't like these other stories we've been doing.
See, because, like, the thing is, the thing is with this game that I find is that, you know, a lot of people say that, you know, as years go, you know, this game time hasn't been very kind to this game. And in some parts, I see it, but at the same time, with a lot of the recent stuff that's been going on, and again, even though I like a lot of the recent games, it makes me appreciate this game so much more. You know, what they were doing, where they had their heads when they were making this, you know, this is Sonic for me. Like, this is as good as it gets for me. And I would love to see this kind of gameplay. I would love to see this kind of style. Because that's something you can't deny either, is that, like, the way how Adventure 1 and 2, you know, the way how they felt when you're comparing it to, like, the more recent games, you know, they feel completely different. They don't feel, like, the recent games don't really feel that much like Sonic games to me, in terms of, like, tone and everything. It seems like way more, like, self-aware. Like, it's aware of, like, its meme status, and it's quick to reference it, too. As opposed to Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, where it just feels like, no, these are Sonic games. Sonic is cool.
Feels a little bit more sincere.
Sincere, authentic. Exactly.
You know, it's ironic. I went in that giant postmodern explanation back there, but another aspect of postmodernism is self-awareness and kind of self-referential humor.
Yeah.
So it's like this game's postmodern in that the story changes depending on who is experiencing it, and those games are postmodern in the sense that they're more like the Deadpool kind of postmodernism.
Oh.
But yeah. As for me, it's kind of strange, because kind of like you, in some ways this game got a little worse for me in this playthrough, and in some ways it actually got better. Like, I'd say overall I feel actually a little bit more positive about this game than I did before I played it again, which is strange to say. Like, I think feeling how Amy controls on the Dreamcast versus the GameCube, for example, and I think seeing the cutscenes again, even though I was usually on my phone while they were playing, I don't know, I guess certain things about some of these character individual stories kind of stood out at me a little bit more. Like, I think this is really the first time that, you know, kind of the depth of Chaos's character and why he does what he does really sunk in for me. So things like that, I think, kind of a lot of little touches here and there kind of stood out to me just a little bit more. And, you know, like Ryan said, I think that most of the characters are really satisfying to control. Like, the big exception's obviously Big, because he just handles like garbage, but, you know, the other characters, you know, especially Sonic and Tails, just, wow. They just, like, even just that little bit of Super Sonic's campaign where you're running around the overworld, it's just, playing that again earlier today before we recorded this, is just like, wow, he still feels great to handle to this day. And I do think, you know, the ideas for the levels are fun. You know, the better looking textures in the Dreamcast certainly pop compared to the GameCube compressed versions. I mean, there's certainly a lot of fun to be had and a lot of stuff to like in Sonic Adventure 1, for damn sure. So I would personally would not call this a flat-out bad, terrible, or even, you know, a mediocre game. I think there's some genuinely good, clean fun to have here. But it's like I've been saying throughout the playthrough, it's just the presentation and the pacing are just kind of what kill it for me, because as much fun as I can have, especially in Sonic with Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and even Gamma, it's just all of the cutscenes you have to go through and all the slow dialogue and all the repeat cutscenes and bosses and all that stuff. It just makes this game really hard to come back to nowadays for me, because I played this game so many times as a kid, to the point where the story just does not engage me anymore. And that's something that only gets worse every time I replay it. And it's like I was saying at the end of Tales there, it's usually when I just replay this just for funsies and I'm not recording and I don't need to, you know, have footage of cutscenes for whatever reason or another, I just skip everything. But when you do that, it kind of makes the game, ironically, it makes the game feel hollow in a sense. And, you know, in terms of gameplay, most of what you're doing is running around hub worlds. His levels are so short, especially in the other playthroughs. So it's kind of like, eh. And that's why that really is my biggest reasoning for liking Sonic Adventure 2 more, is that to me, it's like, even when I skip cutscenes in Sonic Adventure 2, which I generally do, honestly, you know, in addition to finding those cutscenes more entertaining to rewatch, I can still skip them, and it just goes from level to level to level to level, and I can just keep going with the gameplay. It feels like there's more gameplay going on there than running around hub worlds for most of the runtime, you know? It just feels like most of Sonic Adventure is padding.
Sure.
You know, and personally, I felt like the 3 playstyles that they brought back for the second game were all improved over their Adventure 1 appearances. Like with Tails and Eggman versus Gamma, it was really fun trying to rack up that high score and see how many guys you can lock up onto at once, and going for the A ranks, and seeing how fast you can beat the treasure hunting stages when you know what you're doing, and all that good stuff. It just, you know, to me, it's just like, I can pop in Sonic Adventure 2 any day and have a lot of fun with it, no matter how many times I replay it. Whether it's, you know, actually playing through the stories again, or just picking a random level in the level select and trying to go for the A rank, or trying to get all of the A ranks and emblems. That game is just endlessly replayable for me in a way that Sonic Adventure really just isn't.
Yeah, see, now on that I have to disagree with you, but I get what you mean, though. I really do. But
yeah,
I mean, for me, it's just like this, the way how the game just controls. Like that's like the way how the games are controlled, like the way how Sonic Adventure 1 controls, and the way how the treasure hunting is handled in Sonic Adventure 1. Like that is, and also the level design as well. Like I get that Sonic Adventure 1, or excuse me, Sonic Adventure 2 has more focused, more refined levels, but I just like the open-endedness of Sonic Adventure 1's level design more. But that's just me.
I mean,
even though
sure.
technically someone can make the argument that it's more flawed, because granted, you know, with Tails' Windy Valley? Yes, Windy Valley. I was thinking about Windy Hill for a second. I always get the two mixed up. But with Windy Valley for Tails, for example, it doesn't really feel as if that level is designed for him. You could say the same thing for, you know, Casino or Casinopolis. But at the same time, then you also got something like Speed Highway, all those little sections that Tails goes through, you can find ways to get to some of them as Sonic. And there are ways to get to Sonic's portions of Speed Highway, even the At Dawn section, as Tails. And I like that.
Yeah.
That's what makes the game replayable for me, is seeing what I can do, what can I get away with. And that's something I really don't get all the time with Sonic Adventure 2, and I am aware that you can do that kind of stuff in SA2. But it feels more refined and more focused.
When we play that game, I'll be sure to show off some of the hidden ring boxes, because a certain reviewer would lead you to believe that they don't exist in SA2 when he's just wrong. But yeah, and I'll probably be inviting Ryan over for that playthrough as well. And on that note, I probably said this at the beginning of the playthrough, but the reason that I wanted to bring Ryan along, and why I'm glad he was here to comment on this, is that if it had been just me, commentating on this game just by myself, it would have just been me making the same complaints over and over again for 7 hours or however long the game is. And I felt like it was only fair to kind of balance that out with someone who really liked the game, and and I feel like we both learned something from each other from this experience.
Yeah, like how I'm right and Nexo is wrong.
Well,
and just for context too, because I also want to bring this up, because last year I played a little gem called A Hat in Time. And, my first time playing through it, I really thought about it. I'm like, holy shit. So I never played a platformer that, a 3D platformer that was anything like that before. It controlled beautifully, the camera never gave me any issues, the story was hilarious, and I was weirdly engaged by it, and it reminded me that I was playing, it felt like as if I was playing Sonic Adventure 1 for the first time, again. And I sat there, and I thought to myself, I'm like, holy shit, do I have a contender, for Sonic Adventure? Is this a contender for my favorite platformer of all time? After I beat that game 100%, because this is the only platformer that I ever completed 100%, by the way. I put that down, and I plugged in my Dreamcast, and I played Sonic Adventure 1. I watched the cutscenes all over again, and this game beat it out for me too. Sonic Adventure beat out A Hat in Time. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. This game just can't be beaten in my eyes. I'm aware that there are other well-made platformers out there than Sonic Adventure 1. You said this several times on the playthrough, on the podcast that we talked about this game, but this game is held by popsicle sticks and glue. But I think it's amazing what they were able to pull off given the limitations.
Well, we all have that game, that is flawed, but we love it anyway. Mine probably is SA2, but Mega Man and Bass is one of my favorite games of all time. And a lot of people hate that. So I'm not gonna judge you at all for this, Ryan. I totally, even if I don't agree, I totally understand what this game means to you, if that makes any sense. I get that feeling. I know what it's like to, it's just a game that just means so much to you in a way that, almost kind of transcends that inner subjective sort of reviewer's mindset. Yeah, I totally understand.
I mean, even still, because I've had people tell me, it's oh, you're just looking at this game through rose-tinted goggles, you gotta take that red pill and accept the truth that this game is bad, and I could take off those glasses, and I still see that it's, for what they had, it's still an incredibly well-made game. Even if you take away that little filter of, at the time, I still think this is a well-made game. It's designed, the way how the levels are designed, the way how the characters are, the way how the characters controlled. Graphically, you could say that it hasn't aged well, but again, given system limitations.
So does any game that came out in '98.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
What they were doing, I think it turned out really well, and this could have gone wrong in so many different ways.
Oh yeah.
And I keep saying this, for the first time, The first time making a 3D game like this, they fucking nailed it. And if they didn't, well then we wouldn't be here right now. You know? If they didn't nail it, then if this game really was bad as people were making it out to be, then we wouldn't have Sonic Adventure 2. You know, I don't think Sonic wouldn't be where he is right now. So, that's just my 2 cents. I get why people say that it's aged. I get why people don't like it. You know, because here's the thing with Sonic, is that Sonic is not a game for everybody. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that makes it bad. I think this game is very well made. So
I think that if you like Sonic to some extent, you just kind of have to accept that it's messy. No matter which game you're playing, like 2D games, 3D games. 2D games are messy, like really messy by conventional standards. Like compared to a really polished Mario side-scroller.
Yeah, you compared Sonic to Mario. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's just the way I view 2D platformers. It's just there's just this fundamental disconnect for me with 2D Sonic games. They don't make sense to me in terms of the way that 2D platformers should be designed, but they still kind of work anyway once you've gotten over that learning curve. And lots of people really like it, so it's just... But they have that blockage, that learning curve to them, and 3D games aren't any different in that sense. And it's just... You know, as messy as it gets, you know, like, I did this kind of, like, text interview with, like, someone who was doing a research project for a game design class, like, talking about how you take feedback from consumers to make a game, basically. And one of the questions he asked me is, why do you like Sonic? You know, like, period. And my answer to that question was, I think that just underlying it all, there is just something appealing about this world and these characters, and that we just like to follow. And that's ultimately kind of what transcends all of the teeny tiny little, like particularly in this game, like the geometry phasing out when it's still on camera, and the harmless little glitches like that kind of transcends that. It's just, there's something about the essence of Sonic that resonates with people.
I mean, the way how I always viewed it, it's like, I don't mean to be making the comparisons here, but like, you got Mario. Mario is vanilla ice cream. Very basic.
Yeah.
You know, you can do some stuff with it to make it, you know, nice, to make it taste good, but at its core, it's pretty bland, if I'm being honest. It's pretty just banal. It's there, it works, it's solid, it gets the job done. Sonic has always been like Rocky Road. You know, it's chocolate ice cream. There's some stuff in there that maybe you don't like. Maybe you don't like the nuts. Maybe you don't like the chocolate chunks, or maybe you don't like the marshmallows or the peanuts or anything like that. But there's always something there for you to enjoy. And for me, Rocky Road has always been my favorite ice cream, just saying that right now, I always get enjoyment out of the full package, even if there's stuff in there that I don't necessarily like. Because the stuff, the problems that it has, it makes the better stuff just that much more significant. It makes the good stuff stand out just that much more, in my opinion. That's how I always viewed it.
Yeah. Well,
I like
if we don't have anything else to say in this 10-minute closing thoughts sequence, Ryan, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me on this playthrough, and for
of course
lending both your beautiful voice and your optimism, and because it was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you, EXO, for having me.
Thank whenever I do Adventure 2, you will definitely be here for that. So that while I'm gushing about that game, you can be the counterbalance. Like, you were the positive person here. And, yeah.
Well, you see, here's the fun thing, is that I probably won't be as negative with Sonic Adventure 2 either. Because, granted, I don't like the game as much as Sonic Adventure 1, but I still fucking love that game.
Alright. But, it's still, it's just like, it was humbling to have your influence here in this project, I think, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, regardless, we gotta wrap this up because it's already 50 minutes and... God. might even have to just call the last part a podcast at this rate.
Why not just make it like a big movie? Like a big 15-minute long extravaganza.
Yeah, I'll probably end up splitting it down the middle somewhere, and we'll work it out.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you again, Ryan, for joining. And we'll see you, I don't know, I haven't decided what I'm doing next, if I'm gonna try to do another playthrough here on EPG Plays, or if I'm gonna go full Z-Bros. We'll see.
Yeah, just play Golden Sun. You can't go wrong with that.
You can. So, until then, I'm XO, and I'll see you guys next time.
Toodaloo!